This is Omaha's Real Estate Hour on News Talk 1290. Here are your hosts with the Metro Pros of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate, Mike Pettit and Dan Dixon.
Welcome to the show. I'm Mike Pettit with the Metro Pros of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. Dan Dixon's usually in the studio here with me, but he is out helping some clients today. So I've got Don Carnish here from the team. Don has been down from time to time on the show, and Don, I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning, everyone.
We also have a special guest with us today. It's Kari McElderry from A Place at Home, and Cary is going to talk about her company and how she can help people, her experience with seniors and helping them transition, and the alternatives and options that they have at A Place at Home. So, okay, well, let's talk with Cary here from A Place at Home. So, Cary, let's start with a little bit about your background first, and then let's talk about A Place at Home and what they do.
Absolutely. Good morning, and thank you for having me. So a little bit about me is I've been in the senior industry for about 10 years. I have kind of a varied background, and I kind of think that it's kind of been a culmination of all my experiences that has brought me together to be able to do this amazing position of being an advocate for seniors and their families and helping them through transitions when they are needing the next level of care. So I have a little bit of background in like Medicare and Medicaid services, as well as some financial services, and also private duty home health care and skilled home health care and hospice.
So, as far as seniors, when they're considering moving and downsizing and maybe going to assisted living or even independent living communities, I mean, there's a lot of great places around, but how do they know where to start? And that's where you come in. I mean, because otherwise they're just kind of throwing darts.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was using an example with one of my couples that I'm helping currently. They've been married for about 60 years, and they've been living in their home currently for about 55. And I was giving him the example of finding a place. We need to look at this as more of a rifle approach rather than a shotgun approach. So that's like what you said. It's kind of like throwing darts and hoping that we hit something. And so I kind of use that example with him. But, when the next time, when it comes to the time for the next place to call home, that's what I'm here for, because it does happen. At some point, you may realize that it's time to move out of your home. And this move can be due to health reasons, financial reasons, or simply because it feels like the right time. And finding the right home that suits your needs can be a confusing and time-consuming task, but it doesn't have to be, and that's what I'm here for. Their daughter that I'm helping, this particular client, has told me numerous times, she said that, you are my angel, you have been God sent. She's like, I honestly don't know what I would be doing without you. So that's great to hear. Yeah,
absolutely. It's got to make you feel wonderful to hear that. And I mean, you really become an advocate for seniors and help them decide which community is the best one for them, because there's so many options out there. I mean, what are there, 100 and some communities around Omaha?
Right. And then what I also help them understand too is that there's different types of communities, because there's independent living, assisted living, memory care, and then long-term care. And what I do is I help them understand what's going to be the best fit for them. So I sit down, I do a free consultation with them and visit with them, find out what they're actually looking for, and then help them narrow it down to what services or which type of community is going to be the best fit. And then we kind of dig in a little bit deeper, and we talk about what part of town they want to be in, because they either want to stay close to where they're at or they want to move closer to kids. And we talk about budget, which is always a hard conversation to have.
Absolutely.
But it is something that we need to discuss because it's a reality. And then we check to see if there's a long-term care policy. And then I always check to see if there's veterans out there or surviving spouses of veterans, because there is a benefit through the VA called the Aid and Attendance Program that could possibly assist them in paying for some of their health, for some of their assisted living or skilled nursing needs.
And I think that's one of the great things about working with Cary at A Place at Home is that, you don't have to worry about trying to find all the different options out there as far as where you're going to live and what's the best fit, and you don't have to worry about the financing end of it as far as like what options are available for benefits. Cary will go over that with you and make sure that you understand that there are options available. Maybe have you considered this, or, what's your history? Are you a veteran? Was your spouse? I mean, all those things add up and help pay for your new apartment at the new community that you move into. So I think it's great that you offer that service and have all that knowledge, because you're in the business every day. A senior getting ready to move and transition has not been in the business looking at, what do I do? Who do I contact? What are the good places? What are the bad places? I mean,
Absolutely. And to that point, for all of the communities, I've pretty much been in every community in the Omaha and Council Bluffs metro area. So I know where there's services are maybe going through some transitions. I know what levels of care each community will take, what's maybe going to be the best fit for them. And kind of my mission is to help them find the right community the first time, because I hate to hear about another client that I just started working with. They moved a mom into a memory care community, and now she's possibly going to need to go Medicaid. But unfortunately, that community doesn't take Medicaid. And that wasn't explained to them when they initially moved in. And so now we're going to have to move her into a different community.
well, and most people, I think, if they're moving into a community and they have Medicaid or Medicare, I mean, and I'm not sure which one kicks in first and second. I'm not experienced enough in that, but they'll move in and just assume that the next level is going to kick in.
Correct.
And start paying. And if you don't know all those things and haven't studied them and watched what the rules are and everything, you don't know. So
Correct.
it can be very scary, because one, you're making this big transition from your home that you've lived in for 40, 50 years into an apartment or assisted living community, wherever you're going to go, and now all of a sudden, a year down the road, you might have to move again, and so that adds too much stress in people's lives.
It does, and especially when they have dementia, it's a very, very difficult for them because they need to get reacclimated. Because with dementia patients or residents, you want to make sure that they're staying in the same type of environment for as long as possible, because they get adjusted to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cary, can you walk through, what are some of the things that you do when you first meet with the client? What are the steps? I mean, I'm sure that you take clients on tours.
Absolutely.
And you meet with them first, and then you ask them what their needs are, and then if they want to see a certain place, you'll take them on a tour, correct?
Absolutely, correct. So I look at things from a very kind of consultative approach, and I visit with them. I'll go to their home or wherever they feel comfortable meeting, but usually it's in their home. That also gives me a good sense of the type of environment that they're living in and what the type of environment that they're accustomed to, and it'll help me kind of narrow down maybe a community that might be a good fit. And so I will visit with them and, like I said, kind of discuss all the things that we kind of talked about earlier, and figure out. And so as they're kind of talking to me, telling me their life story, and I'm finding out more information about them, I mean, sometimes we get down to the nitty-gritty of, gosh, I have a peanut allergy, and I know about that. But you know what? That's actually good information to have to pass on to communities, because then that way, if there's any dietary restrictions. But that's a side note. The next step then, like I said, as I'm visiting with them, because of my background with multiple arenas of the healthcare or the senior healthcare, is I can listen to what they're saying, and if there's red flags that are going off, then I can help address those, and then at that point, I'm starting to kind of pick down and narrow down to between 2 to 4 communities that we'll go on tours on, and then I ask them if those sound like they might be good fits, or that, like, location-wise and budget-wise, and then I'll set those tours up with them and then go on those tours with the seniors and their families. Or there was one where it was completely, I met with the daughter and the senior couple, and then the daughter had just started a new job, and I was the person, I was the lifeline, and so she didn't have to take any time off of work. I was able to, help them get movers set up and able to get everything arranged. So we went on the tours. The daughter did go on one tour with us, and that was great. And then she was able to offer some input. But so we go on between 2 to 4 tours, just depends. And sometimes we need to go back and take a second look. But and then after that, and so it doesn't stop once we go on the tour. Then we help them with deciding on the community, and then we'll go to helping them move in if they are needing to sell their house. And Don, that's where somebody like you would come in, and I can refer them to a real estate agent, to moving coordinators. And that way it takes the stress off of them having to worry about packing up their house and moving everything and asking friends and family and that. So, and then once they move in, they still can't get rid of me. I'm going to check in
You're
on
there
them.
forever.
Maybe not forever, but I do want to check in on them. I want to make sure that things are going well and that the community is actually a good fit. Because like I said, my mission is to get them in the right place, the right time, the first time.
Well, again, we're talking with Kari McElderry from A Place at Home. You can always call Cary at 402-218-1868. That's 402-218-1868. Or you can just stop by aplaceathome.com and check that out and reach her that way. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about A Place at Home and how they're kind of different from other placement agencies and things like that. So, I mean, we'll talk about that some more after the break. Welcome back to the show. I'm Mike Pettit with the Metro Pros of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. We've got Don Carnish here in the studio today. Don's helping out. Dan is out and about, so he'll help out some clients today and take care of that. But Don, appreciate you being here. We also have Kari McElderry. Why I can't spit that out is beyond me, but I mean, I think
okay.
by the end of the show, I'll have it down, Kari. I apologize. So, Kari McElderry.
Bingo.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit about A Place at Home and how they're different. And you were telling me before the show that it's locally owned.
Absolutely, yes. They started back in 2012 by Dustin DeStefano and Jared Evanich. And they both had grandparents that had gone through kind of the senior need of having maybe home care in the home, and so they weren't satisfied with how those experiences went, and so they said, you know what, let's try doing this and seeing if we can't make a better experience for other seniors. So they created A Place at Home, and what they are is it's private duty in-home care services. And so that's what makes us a little bit different from other senior placement agencies, is that we also offer that option to be in the home as long as possible. Because, you know, if you were to ask somebody, what is your goal? And their goal is going to tell you, I want to stay at home as long as possible.
Sure.
And I understand and I appreciate that. However, there does come a time, as I mentioned earlier, that they're going to need some additional help that in-home services just aren't going to be able to provide. Even though A Place at Home is a little bit different in the fact that we are licensed by the state, and we have an RN on staff who creates care plans for each individual that's on services with us, and we are providing those services, like I said, in the home or wherever they happen to live as their home. So sometimes we're at their brick and mortar home, sometimes we're at independent living, assisted living. So sometimes we're actually in the communities as well.
So I assume that, you know, it's a case-by-case basis as far as what the senior may decide to do or what they may want, whether it's in-home care and helping out and staying in the home longer, whether that's another 6 months or 2 years or whatever, or look at communities. And there's such a wide range of communities and what they offer. Not all communities have each level of care.
Correct.
And I think that's important to know, too, because if it's only independent living and you need assisted living or memory care or something down the road, you're going to be moving again. So, you know, it may make sense to go to a community that has more services there and more options.
Correct. You know, I kind of relate this to being similar to the real estate market. And right now, I mean, it's a hot market, and there's maybe some shortage in certain price ranges of some homes that are for sale. It's kind of the same way with the senior living industry, in that right now there's some shortages of some assisted living and memory care, especially memory care options that are available. That's why I always say it's never too early to start having this conversation, whether it be with me or with family. But to your point of them being an independent living, they could be an independent living and they may have that need for assisted living level of care. But if there's not a spot open for them quite yet, then that's where they can bring in A Place at Home, and they can offer those in-home care services while they're living at independent living.
Kind of fill the gap a little bit.
Absolutely.
So since there's a shortage of communities around and rooms available and apartments available, Are you seeing that more and more companies are starting to build more communities? Or
Yes, actually, there are three. One just opened, and there are two more companies that are building that are projected to open in 2020. And they happen to be out in West Omaha. One of them is an independent living only. It's kind of a 55 plus active lifestyle living. And another one is going to be an independent living and assisted living and memory care. And we do need more memory care in this area.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. If you have not been into a retirement community in the last 10, 15 years, you need to stop by one and see what they have to offer because they're incredible now. I mean,
it's amazing. And that's one thing one of the struggles that I deal with the generation of folks that are moving, that I'm talking to about moving. And that's one of the questions I ask them. I say, when I say assisted living to you, tell me how that looks to you when I say that. And a lot of times they give me the sterile hospital setting, brick, and cinder block looking type rooms with painted walls, very sterile, very hospital-like, very much like, what their parents maybe had to go into, because back then they were called institutions. And that was the only option that was available. It wasn't until about 20, 25 years ago that assisted living was really even a thing. And now it's an amazing option for folks when they're looking for, like I said, their next place to call home.
My mother-in-law moved into an independent care community quite a few years ago, and when we started looking at that with her, she's like, "I'm not going to be in one of those retirement communities. They're horrible. They treat you poorly." And so we started touring these places, and she was like, "Wow, this is really, really nice. They really treat you well, and they have restaurant-style dining, and they have the beauty shop there, and they have everything you need right there." And, so she decided to move in. And when she moved in, she said, "I'm not playing bingo with anybody, and I'm not doing this." And well, now she's got a more active social calendar than I ever had in my life. And she loves it and has great friends there and is always active. There's always something for people to do if they want to. And if they don't want to, that's fine too. But, there's a ton of options for interaction with other people and events and everything.
And Dan's told his story before too. Cary, you haven't met Dan yet, but he talks about his father moving into an assisted living place. And I think the comment his dad made was, "Why did I wait so long? This is awesome." I mean, they're just surprised that it's the fireplaces and all of the wood and the big windows and the landscaped yards around it. It's beautiful.
Absolutely, and that's actually one of from having worked in a community personally. And that's actually one of the things that my residents would tell me all the time. "Why didn't I do this sooner? I wish I would have done this sooner." Or like if I was taking somebody on a tour and we would run into somebody, then they would ask them questions, and the first thing that they would always say is, "I wish I would have done this sooner."
Now, I know that sometimes family dynamics can make things a little bit tricky. Some couples have 4, 5, 6 kids, and every one of them probably have varying opinions or things that they think that should happen or shouldn't happen. And I know, I think you said you have some background in working with these type of situations. And how do you intervene with a family that is maybe struggling to make a decision cohesively?
Sure, thank you. Well, I actually am a certified senior conversations coach. And so what I have the background in being able to do is be able to utilize my experience with that and be able to help those families navigate. And it's not really like a counselor or a therapist or a mediator, but it kind of is. But I'm able to kind of bring the family together, help them understand, kind of try and get them all on the same page, whether that's actually going to happen. In the first sit down, I can't guarantee that. And then a lot of times it's, we've got one brother who lives here and another one who lives over here, and then I'm the oldest daughter, so I'm the one taking care of everything. So it's really figuring out who the key decision makers are and then making sure that everyone is kind of on the same page.
Okay. And I know sometimes the seniors themselves, they start getting to a certain age, and they are pushing back, and they don't want to go into what they call a nursing home,
Correct.
the way what it was called 30, 40 years ago. And then you start talking about the driver's license being taken away and those sort of things. So I'm sure, how do you navigate with the seniors, and how do you help counsel them to help them understand?
That's a great question, because that does come up quite a bit, because seniors sometimes feel like when they move into a community that they're giving everything up, and it's actually quite the opposite. All they're doing is they're actually gaining. They don't have to give up their car. They don't, unless they really shouldn't be driving, but they don't need to give up their car. They can still come and go as they please. It's typically a secured building so that they can scan themselves in and out. And there, as Mike mentioned earlier, that there's activities of all kinds, and they're able to do as much or as little as they want. And really, the only thing that they're giving up is needing to mow the yard, take care of snow removal, and worrying about maintenance on the house, because it truly does become maintenance-free living. So I don't really think that they're actually giving anything up. I think that they're actually just gaining all of they don't have to cook, because all communities are going to offer at least 3 meals a day, or at least 2 meals a day on independent living, and then assisted living, 3 meals a day. And so that's a great question.
Yeah, well, that's great that you answered that. I'm like that, because really it's a new beginning for some of these seniors. It's not really an end of, some of them, I think, in their mind think it's an end of life. It's end of my life. Not, I'm going to go to prison. Really, it's a beginning, a new beginning. They're going to possibly meet new friends, and they're going to maybe get active on the treadmills, because I know some of these places have what they call wellness centers.
Yes.
They have treadmills and weight machines, and it's really fantastic.
Yeah, one of the most popular pieces of equipment at any community is what they call the New Step, and it's kind of like a sitting bicycle rowing kind of a machine, and it's amazing. They love using that.
So a little bit of cardio and a little bit of upper body strength.
And lower body strength, because they're using their feet. So, and actually that, from what I understand, that piece of equipment was designed here in Omaha by one of the UNO physicians.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, again, we're talking with Kari McElderry from A Place at Home. And Kari, we really appreciate you being here. Before we take another break and get you out of here and get John on the show from Regent Financial, just wanted to talk about, is there any cost involved for seniors to meet with you?
No, actually there is no. I do a free consultation, and then there is no cost for the families to utilize me or my services. However, I do like to be full disclosure. I do get paid for doing what I love, and that's when I place them at a community that I have an agreement with. And then what happens is that community then does reimburse me a percentage based off of their month's rent.
Absolutely. Well, again, you can stop by aplaceathome.com and check out their website. You can get in touch with Kari that way, or you can always give her a call at 402-218-1868. That's 402-218-1868. Or you can always stop by our website, omahasrealestatehour.com. Check that out. You can drop us a note. We'll put you in touch with Kari, make that connection happen. Or you can always give me a call or shoot me a text at 402-871-8692. That's 402-871-8692.